Hello and thanks for joining us here on France 24 for this special edition of France in Focus, coming to you from the slopes of Val d'Isère, where the skiing season's in full swing. Some 10 million people from across the globe descend on the ski slopes here in France every single year, making this country one of the top skiing destinations on earth. Plenty on offer here, from beginner level all the way to professional level. It was after all here that some of the 1992 Winter Olympic events were held. Well, coming up in today's special programme, Behind the Scenes, we take you to find out how a ski resort is run and to see the effort made to ensure your ski trip is fun and safe. And Wired Up, we show you some of the growing selection of gadgets that take up the mountain with you, although not everyone thinks they're such a great idea. And in search of the ultimate thrill, we meet a French champion snowboarder whose appetite for excitement takes him to places few people dare to venture. When you go on a skiing trip, you don't tend to think about what goes on behind the scenes and a huge amount of hard work that goes into making sure your trip is an enjoyable one, but also a safe one. Let's have a little look now at how that's done.
There you go, we start from here. Every morning before the clients arrive, generally before 9 a.m, we put the banners in place.
Olivier is one of 60 ski patrol members in Val d'Isère, and he's the first to test out this slope today.
Yeah.
Ah, it's miraculous they're still sticking up.
This morning, he's making sure that all of the banners and signs are visible. He's also checking the quality and stability of the snow.
Sometimes there are problems with the snowcat overnight. They can create bumps. We have to point them out and flatten them to limit any dangers.
A danger that increases when the skiers hit the slopes. And that's when Olivier's other role kicks in, as a rescue worker. At Bellevarde's security post, Olivier and his colleagues are on standby, waiting for emergency calls. They come in thick and fast.
Okay, I'm on my way.
Olivier has been called up to help an Israeli tourist. He was taking a snowboarding lesson but hurt his knee whilst getting up. And while Avi manages to stand here, it is impossible for him to get back down the slope on his own. Instead, Olivier will take him straight to the doctor's surgery for an X-ray.
This is a classic. Generally, the knee is a skier or a footballer injury. There are sports which require a lot of lateral pressure, so when there's a fall, often the knee takes the brunt of it.
In hospital, Avi is diagnosed with damaged knee cartilage. He'll need an operation back home. In total, Val d'Isère's patrol helped 1,390 people last year.
Well, just looking around you on the slopes, you get the impression that people are paying plenty of attention to what they're wearing. But as well as their fashion sense, skiers and snowboarders are increasingly plugged into the tech scene. And there's no shortage of gadgetry for you to take with you up the mountain. But some people are asking, could it all be a dangerous distraction?
Even in the mountains, you can't escape high-tech devices. Often mounted on helmets, portable cameras are everywhere, recording each thrilling jump, each swift descent, each daring exploit.
We watch the videos when we get home to see the wipeouts.
It pushes you to try more things because there's video. We want to see who goes the fastest.
But the new wave of high-tech winter sports gear goes even further than that. Smart helmets are marketed with built-in cameras, but also lights, GPS tracking, Wi-Fi communication networks to talk to other skiers, and MP3 players for music. Goggles are also evolving. Some can display speed, your location on a map, where your friends are, altitude, and the weather, and even when you get a text message. Ski stations are also joining in, with some even offering Wi-Fi on the lifts. But the new technology can prove distracting and make some people more reckless.
A little bit.
Why?
Because I'm focused on the camera.
And that leads to accidents. Hospitals near ski resorts say they're seeing new kinds of injuries.
We've seen some collisions, situations where there are injuries or cuts from the cameras themselves.
Other innovations focus more on safety than pleasure. This backpack is aimed at thrill seekers who venture off-piste. In case of an avalanche, it becomes an airbag that inflates and propels the person to the top of the snow. Not all the gadgets on the slopes are new. For 20 years, rescuers have relied on ARVA, a search device to help locate those trapped by an avalanche. It may not film for fun, but it can save lives.
Young or old, people of all ages flock to the French Alps to learn how to snowboard or ski, but there are several different varieties of skiing. And as we're about to see, one in particular is gaining popularity. Let's have a look.
Off-piste, off the resort, and away from the crowds. These holiday makers are trying out the increasingly popular pastime, ski touring. But there's just one catch. To ski down the mountain, you have to ski up it first. Rewind to 10 in the morning, and the Freyers family set off from their chalet in Val d'Isère.
Bonjour à tous. Vous avez tous votre matériel.
The gear is lighter than what's used for alpine skiing, and the skis are built so the heel doesn't come loose.
You have to want to try, it's true. Often when teenagers see the ski lift, they feel like taking it instead of climbing up and sweating. But it's a different approach to mountaineering, and often people take it up later.
Every winter, 150,000 people try out ski touring in the Alps. That's far from the 5 million who head to the classic pistes. The Freyers family first take a ski lift part of the way up, but then they head into the backcountry.
Do you like it up here?
Up here we can see all around us. We can't hear the noise we heard earlier. It's nicer.
Before heading up, it's time to attach the so-called sealskins, even if nowadays they're made of synthetic material.
So if I move my hand here, it slips, but if I turn the ski around, my hand gets stuck. So that means the hairs will hold me and I can climb up, even when it's steep. And then we take off the skins to go back down.
With the skins attached, the hike can begin. For amateurs, going with a guide who can check weather and avalanche conditions is essential.
This is a beginner's class, so we're not going very high and it only takes 45 minutes, so it's really for people who want to try ski touring for the first time.
It's good to get off the pistes and get into nature. It feels really good.
Fewer people, less competition for snow, and the best views.
When we get to the summit, we take off the skins and we can admire the landscape. Here, there's an amazing view of the mountains and the Mont Blanc.
Ski touring is for outdoorsy folk who are ready to use their legs and lungs to find the freshest tracks. All you need is a bit of training, sun, and of course, snow.
From green runs to black runs, most people are content with the choices of piste on offer here in the French Alps. But for those of you in search of something a little bit more adventurous, you might want to try this. It's called Freestyle, and just behind me is professional freestylist Tom Le Rue practicing. But for those of you daredevils out there in search of something even more extreme, check this out. It's called Freeride.
"4,000 meters up in the mountains. It might look like a cliff to the rest of us. But for snowboarder Xavier de Le Rue, it's just another challenge.
You often read that I'm crazy. Even if you get the impression I'm on the bleeding edge, I still have big margins in what I do. So that's why I feel pretty comfortable if I ride something.
De Le Rue learned to ski at the age of just 2 in his native Pyrenees. When it comes to terrain like this, he knows nothing can be left to chance. Trajectory, incline, hidden rocks. It can take days to study the slope. The best way is by climbing it. Up to 8 hours of effort, accompanied by a friend. It's far too dangerous to try alone. There's not much time to sit and admire the scenery at the top either. The descent awaits.
People might think I'm really sure of myself with my lines, that I'll come down and do something incredible. But I know very well in the mountains that things can change in an instant and crush you.
Just a few seconds, and he's off. The first to take on a slope that's never been skied before. Shooting down between two rocky outcrops at 80 kilometers an hour, it ends all too quickly.
The real pleasure comes when you're done. You've come down, you've reached the bottom. When you're on the home stretch, and basically every time, all those days of hard work explode inside you. It's like a drug.
And like any addict, De Le Rue needs his next fix. Following the snow and the season to mountains new.
Well, at the end of a long day of skiing, where better to end it all than with a bit of après-ski? This is where we're going to leave you on the slopes of Val d'Isère for this special edition of France in Focus. Thanks for watching, and do stay tuned to France 24.